from cathedrals to castles, illuminated manuscripts to suits of armor. Medieval Europe is often remembered for its larger-than-life structures and icons, and stories about them draw in millions of visitors each year. But despite the splendor of these relics of the Middle Ages, their towering cathedrals and invincible fortifications, life for the average medieval European was rarely as glorious or safe as we might expect from the tales and legends of our childhood. Life was hard, diseases spread quickly, food was scarce, and daily life was fraught with danger. Even simple tasks could send a person to their grave. So if you were actually to step back in time and find yourself wandering the dusty streets of a medieval town, would you be able to make it through an entire day without dying? How about a whole week? Well, let's find out. Join us as we take a journey back in time and explore the fascinating, sometimes gruesome reality of life in medieval Europe. From waking up in a cramped and unsanitary home to working long hours for little pay, eating bland meals and fearing the wrath of the local nobility. We'll cover it all in this sleepy and educational adventure. We'll show you what a typical day in the life of a medieval peasant was really like. It's early in the morning, but you're already awake. You live with your parents and siblings in a small village in medieval Europe, and your day begins long before the sun rises. You share a small, dark hut with your entire family, and there isn't much privacy. Everyone sleeps in the same room. Men, women, and children. And animals such as chickens and goats also make their home inside the hut, making for a rather pungent living situation. To top it all off, your bed is nothing more than a pile of straw on the floor. No mattress, no sheets, just straw. The straw is probably crawling with bugs and other small creatures, providing you with a less than comfortable night's sleep. After waking up, you dress in the same clothes you wore the day before and the day before that. Laundry is a rare luxury, and your clothes are constantly dirty and smelly. You don't bother brushing your teeth or washing your face. In fact, you haven't had a proper bath in weeks. Everyone in the village knows everyone else's business, and gossip spreads like wildfire. There's no escape from the prying eyes and judgmental whispers of your neighbors. Privacy is a foreign concept, and personal space is non-existent. It is hard to remember a time when you didn't feel like you were being watched or judged. Breakfast is a simple affair. You eat a piece of cold bread and drink a mug of weak ale. You don't know where the bread came from exactly, but it's probably been sitting around for a few days. You don't mind though. Nothing fresh has come into the village for weeks. You don't have any butter or jam to add flavor to your bland meal, but it doesn't matter. The taste of fresh food is a distant memory. You wash down your breakfast with a mug of warm ale, which is safer to drink than water, which could contain disease-causing microbes. You head out into the fields to work alongside the other villagers. There's no school for you. You're expected to work the land from a young age. You're not a slave though. You own the clothes on your back and the tools you use to work. However, you're beholden to the local lord and must work his land for the privilege of living on it and growing your own small crops. If you fail to meet your quota of crops, the lord may evict you from your home, and you'll be forced to wander the countryside as a beggar. You work alongside other peasants, digging, planting, weeding, harvesting. It's hard, dirty work, but someone has to do it. After all, there's no such thing as a minimum wage, and if you don't work, you don't eat. The hours are long and the work is endless, and there's no overtime pay, no sick leave, and no retirement plan. You work until you drop from exhaustion or illness or injury. As you toil in the fields, you think about your home and the lack of privacy. It's not just your neighbors who intrude upon your personal space. Bandits and highwaymen also make regular appearances, preying on the hard-working peasants like you. The threat of violence hangs over you like a dark cloud, always present, always looming. In the distance, you hear the sound of church bells ringing. It's noon, and time for a quick break. You wipe the sweat from your brow and reach for the crusty bread in your pocket. You take a bite and notice a small insect crawling on your arm. You flick it away and continue munching on your bread. You don't have time to worry about a little bug bite. You have crops to harvest. The midday sun beats down on your back and you long for a cool drink of water. But the nearest well is a long walk away. You take another bite of your bread and try to ignore the gnawing in your stomach. You haven't eaten enough to satisfy your hunger, but there's no time for a proper meal. You must keep working. As the sun begins to set, you finally finish your work and head back to the village. You're exhausted, dirty and hungry, but there's no time to rest. You must hurry home to cook dinner for your family. You don't have much to work with, just a small patch of vegetables and some leftover bread. You chop the vegetables and throw them in a pot with some water. Add a pinch of salt and you're ready to eat. Dinner is served. You sit with your family, eating in silence. There's no conversation, no laughter, just the quiet scrape of your spoon against the bowl. You eat quickly and efficiently, trying to get as much sustenance as possible from the meager meal. You don't need to worry about spilling your food or making a mess. There's no one around to judge you, and there's certainly no one around to clean up after you. After dinner, you'll help your mother clean the house. There's not much to clean, just a pile of dishes and a dirty floor. You scrub the dishes with a brush made of twigs and sand and sweep the floor with a broom made of straw. You don't have a vacuum cleaner or a dishwasher, so cleaning is a laborious task. As darkness falls, you curl up in your straw bed and pull a blanket over your head. You're tired and hungry, but there's no time for sleep. You must get up early to start working again. You lay there listening to the sounds of the night, the crickets chirping, the owls hooting, the wind whistling through the trees. You wonder what tomorrow will bring. Will it be another day of hard work and meager meals? Will you be able to survive another day in medieval Europe? You don't know, but you're determined to try. In medieval Europe, life was tough. If you weren't careful, you could easily die from a simple cold or a cut that became infected. The streets were dirty and disease-ridden rats were everywhere. Food was scarce and the only available jobs were dangerous and low-paying. For many, survival was a daily struggle and death could strike at any moment. But for those who persevered, life in medieval Europe could still be beautiful. The towns and cities were filled with stunning architecture and art. The people were hard-working and close-knit communities, and the natural world was wild and untamed. If you made it through a single day in medieval Europe without dying, you should consider yourself lucky. Life in the Middle Ages was not easy, but it was an experience that could have been both challenging and rewarding. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel for more exciting historical adventures. And if you want to learn more about what life was really like in medieval Europe, check out the links in the description below for additional resources.